Were there others on the list that didn't quite make the cut in the end? I mean, how long was this list of films you wanted to explore?
Make the cut, yeah. Like
yeah, make the cut, exactly.
Yeah.
Pun fully intended there. Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. As you know, we're continuing these video calls while everyone's stuck at home. I'm delighted to say that from Ice Nine Kills, Spencer's on the line with me now. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to be talking with you.
Yeah, you too, man. You too. I've been kicking all of these off in the kind of same obvious question, but how are you doing? Are you staying safe where you are?
I'm trying to. We got back from our tour about 2 weeks ago. It was cut short. The last week was unfortunately canceled. We were out with Papa Roach and Hollywood Undead, and it was an awesome tour. And then the whole coronavirus thing kind of snuck up on us, and we had to sort of race to the airport to get there in time. And luckily we made it back, and it seems like everyone's staying safe and just mellowing out.
Yeah, it's good to hear, man. Good to hear you guys kind of got back okay after that tour. How was that tour, though? Let's focus on the positive. That's an incredible lineup. First of all, Papa Roach and the Hollywood Undead guys. It must have been amazing for the time you were able to do it, right?
It was great. Both bands I had admired for a long time. I'd been listening to Papa Roach since I was in 7th or 8th grade, and always liked Hollywood Undead. I remember buying Swan Songs back when it came out, and happy to say that both of those bands are just filled with really nice dudes, and it was a great sort of sense of camaraderie on the tour, and huge crowds, biggest crowds we've ever played for in Europe. And it was a shame it was cut short, but I'm thankful that we got to play as long as we did, because had the tour been scheduled maybe even a week later than it was, the whole thing probably would have been canceled. So
yeah, very
positive.
Yeah, lucky timing, man. You got to kind of look at these things that way when it's these weird situations. And I've got to say, fair play to lots of bands kind of getting involved, finding ways they can help in this kind of weird time. Well done to you guys with that T-shirt and mask release, and turned it around so quickly. How did that idea come together?
We had just recently been experimenting with charity and giving back to people and parts of the world that mean a lot to us. Just from a few months back, we had toured in Australia for the first time rather, and just as the fires were getting going, and when we got back, we said, hey, it's so easy for us to sell merchandise. We've got such a great fan base that's always willing to support the band. Let's do a shirt for the wildfires in Australia. So that sort of kicked it off for us as far as using our merchandise platform to donate to worthy charities. And it just sort of made sense that this time around, coronavirus is sweeping the world. Let's concentrate our efforts on that. And also just, thinking about all of the people involved with Ice Nine Kills, not just people in the band, but road crew and people who do our sound and run our merchandise and our tour managers. They were all out of work too, so that was mainly for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a positive thing. I was chatting with Cody from Set It Off, and he was saying similar things actually as well. We've got to look after everyone who, it takes an army to make these shows and these tours work. So yeah, got to absolutely look after the whole crew, the whole family in that way. Let's backtrack a little bit then, because then let's catch up on music, because obviously this album campaign has been so great for you guys and taken you to whole new levels. Congratulations again. Obviously you're on the cover of the mag earlier in the year. It was very, very exciting. I want to just kind of reflect now a little bit. It's something I ask bands a lot, but when they've had this album, there's a little bit of time that's passed now. How are you reflecting, looking back now on the whole Silver Screen release?
It's incredibly rewarding. I've been such a big fan of horror movies since I was a little kid. So being able to take that love of the genre and mix it with my other love, which was music, was really a special experience. And I had no idea that it would resonate as much as it did. And I'm proud to say that, people really responded to it. And it was one of those situations where, like, is this really work? I mean, I'm getting to write songs in the studio about all these things that I love that maybe some people would think are kind of silly, and they are a little bit silly in some regards, but being able to do that for a living and get on stage and pretend to be Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees for 30 to 45 minutes, it really is a dream.
Yeah, that's a dream job right there. That's so much fun.
Yeah,
can't be knocking that, man. And then to be able to continue it as well and do the final cut stuff, that's so much fun. Be able to keep expanding this world you guys have created, really. I've never seen anyone do this kind of project before. It's really exciting. Talk to me about why you went for Scream as an extra one as well. Why Scream in particular?
So Scream has always been one of my favorite movies of all time. Not just horror, not just slasher, but just as far as film. And I wanted to include it on the original album, and we sort of ran out of time. And if we wanted to get it on the record, we would have had to kind of scramble and come up with a track. And because, it holds a special place in my heart, I wanted to make sure that the song lived up to the greatness of the movie and how much that movie in particular influenced me. And it just seemed like the perfect time to do the song about Scream. We had spent some time actually in one of the key filming locations from the movie. At the end of the film, the last third act really takes place at Stu Macher's house, where a lot of the carnage sort of unfolds in the end. And we had done a convention where we actually played in the house, in the garage, where Rose McGowan's character is crushed by the garage door. And I think being at the location, it just influenced me even more to say, hey, we need to do a song about Scream, and we need to do it for the final cut. And I'm really proud of how it turned out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it sort of begs the question, of course, that was one that didn't make the album. First of all, you managed to find a way to fit it in. Were there others on the list that didn't quite make the cut in the end? I mean, how long was this list of films you wanted to explore? Make the cut, exactly.
Yeah.
Pun fully intended there.
Of course, it was beautiful. When creating the album, I had a big whiteboard where I wrote maybe, I want to say 50 to 70 horror movies down on the board and tried to think about which ones would make the most compelling songs. There were so many left on the board that I still wanted to cover, but you can only put so many songs on an album. We weren't going to do a double album, although that would have been cool, like Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy album. But there were definitely a lot left on the board, and hoping at some point maybe we attack some of those. A lot of fans write comments and tell us, we love the Silver Scream. You got to do this movie. Have you ever thought about doing that movie? So there's still a lot to play with in that regard.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe is the plan at some point in the future, to just keep going down this avenue and keep moving through that list? I mean, it seems to be working for you guys. Yeah.
I think that there comes a point when you say you don't want to just keep repeating yourself, but A, it's so much fun for us, and B, 99% of our fans kind of are asking for it. So we'll see where the chips fall, but I'm definitely not going to count it out. And it's sort of an unwritten rule in horror, there's always got to be a sequel. So maybe we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Very true, very true. Got to make those sequels, man, always. Let's talk about the live show. I mean, you alluded to it earlier, full costumes, some props in there and everything. What were the kind of challenges in putting together a live show of this scale? Because it was so different to what you guys had kind of explored and done before.
It's definitely quite a process. And really the first time going sort of all out with the costume changes and the lighting and the sequencing was on our last headliner that we did this past fall, the Octane Accelerator Tour. And that was the first time we got to bring out a real full production rig. And we picked this guy, Alex, to do our lighting. I had a call with him, and he just really shared the same passion for theater. He had worked on several productions of Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera. So he really came from that background of knowing how important lighting cues are and the optics of it. So we actually rented out a facility in Pennsylvania for 2 or 3 days prior to that tour and just really blocked everything out, went through okay, this song, I'm going to be this character, and this is where you need to move on the stage. And if you're if you're stabbing in this direction, you have to do it at this speed so that the strobe light catches it a certain way. Just a ton of sort of little logistical things that we plotted out in that 3-day production hall. And then a lot of it was the costume changes. And that poses one of the most difficult parts of the show, because you only have a certain amount of time between songs to change to the next character. So it definitely took a few days to get in the rhythm, but I'm happy to say once we figured it out, it became, a very well-oiled machine, and we were able to do it.
Yeah, a full theatrical production. I mean, it's incredible to think the amount of work that goes into these things, but fair play to it. It's worked so well. And speaking of live shows as well, obviously it's been rescheduled now, but very exciting for later in the year. That massive tour out in the US. Was it Five Finger Death Punch, Papa Roach, yourselves, and I Prevail? What an incredible lineup there. We've already mentioned Papa Roach, obviously been out on the road with. How familiar are you with the Death Punch guys and I Prevail, who are now on the cover of Rock Sound this very week?
I know Papa Roach just from the tour that we did, and they were super nice guys, and very much looking forward to getting back out on the road with them. We had a good rapport with them. I've never really met the Five Finger Death Punch guys, but we have the same manager, and everything I've heard about them has been great. And just looking at their production, you talk about a real old school kind of like Kiss level rock show. Very excited to see that in person. I can't wait. And for us, it's obviously sad that the tour is being rescheduled, but we're thankful that it's rescheduled, not canceled, which obviously is far worse. And it's great to see that the dates and venues are already locked down and in place.
Yeah, absolutely. No, all very positive things to look forward to, I guess, once this craziness kind of finishes and all that stuff. I guess the obvious question for you guys is, now that we're not coming to the end of the silver screen era by any means, but the album's been out, you've done the final cut stuff. What do you think is next in terms of the immediate future for Ice Nine Kills? Is there more new music on the horizon? How do you think that's all going to fit in?
Yes, definitely more music on the horizon. I'll sort of let the cat out of the bag in some respects, because I never really talked about it. We have recorded a new song that I'm very excited about, that we were going to release to coincide with the Five Finger tour. But now that everything is sort of shifted around, we're trying to figure out exactly what to do. But very excited about it. I think the fans are going to love it. And it touches on a certain... Actually, it was originally a book and became a great film that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy and be very familiar with. I'll say that.
Wow, that's some good hints. Have a think. I guess the fans figure out which one that might be. That's exciting. That's cool. Well, last question for you, man, because again, this weird time, everyone's kind of stuck at home in a minute. I think you are the perfect person to ask about this, because we see people go online every day thinking, I need something to watch. I need things to watch while I'm stuck at home. I want horror movie recommendations from you, man. For someone who maybe hasn't seen a whole lot from the genre, what do you think of, like, let's say 3? What are 3 horror movies people should watch?
Well, there's a definite list that I sort of always give when people ask me these questions, because, obviously we're a horror band and that question comes up a lot. So I'm going to try to recommend 3 that I've never really recommended. One, I'll have to say, I rewatched last night. I hadn't seen it in years. Is the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Originally, the film came out in 1978, classic George Romero piece, and it was remade in 2004. And I got to say, for someone who, I like the zombie genre, and I appreciate what it's done and its contribution to horror. I've never been the zombie guy. I'm always more of a slasher one. But this remake of Dawn of the Dead is absolutely incredible, and it's extremely relevant sort of to what's going on right now. Obviously there's more of a fantastical, extreme nature to that film, but it deals with sort of isolation and social distancing, to put it lightly. So definitely recommend that. Another old one that I rewatched recently is Fright Night from 1985. It's just a really nice balance of horror and comedy. And I think it's one of those films that still holds up, and one of the few vampire films that I think really nailed it. So let's go with Dawn of the Dead and Fright Night. Third one that I would have to recommend would be Idle Hands. If you've never seen that one, it's another horror comedy starring Devon Sawa and Seth Green, and I think it's a perfect kind of movie to watch when you're stuck at home. It features a guy who's so lazy that the devil ends up possessing one of his hands. So you can imagine the fun that ensues from that.
Yeah, that's a very, very fun concept. And you're right, perfect thing to watch when everyone's stuck at home, man. Absolutely. Spencer, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, man. Stay safe. I hope all your bandmates are staying safe as well. And hopefully we'll get to do this face-to-face sooner rather than later. But yeah, great
absolutely.
to
Thank you. Thanks for having us on the cover. That was an incredible honor. And I finally was able to go to my mom. Look, I'm doing something. See, I'm on the cover of the magazine.
Everything we can do to help, man. Everything we can do to help in that way. No, absolutely, man. It was such a cool cover shoot, and still available now. I think a few copies here and there. So yeah.
Absolutely,
stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff. All right, man. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. All right.
You too. Take care.
Cheers, man. Spencer, everybody.